Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. So in this video I'm going to take you guys through the Time Travelers, or the Future Saga I should say, only SBR. So in this SBR, the main strategy that we're going to go with is we're going to obviously rely, there's quite a few Future Saga units that you can use to perform well in this stage. But the main strategy that you're going to want to take when going into these stages is you're going to want to take as much utility as possible. You're also going to want to take the Strength, Future Trunks and Mai card as your friend lead, because even though they have the lower leader skill, their utility on their SA, that ability to stun, is going to be very crucial to performing at top ability in this stage. So there's one of those things that you're going to have to just take a look at, because this stage really honestly has 3 fights. The first one is 2 enemies, the second one is 1 enemy, and the third one is 2 enemies. So with that kind of utility, if you bring quite a few stuns, you actually have quite a strong chance in beating this stage, because you can keep the enemies locked up quite easily. But obviously because of that design, because it is a 2-1-2 kind of stage, that also means that the enemies do hit quite hard. So it is just one of those things we have to keep in mind. In terms of our team build, we've gone for kind of a mix. We've gone for some free-to-play units, we've gone for some normal units. Obviously the big free-to-play unit is the Zamasu, the Zamasu in Goku body Zamasu, or Goku black in Zamasu, or whatever. Basically it's when Goku first takes over or when Zamasu first takes over Goku's body, and that card has a separate name from all the other Gokus and Goku Blacks and Zamasus and that. Then the second unit we're going to take is the Goasu and Zamasu card. They obviously have a very high chance of evasion, they provide great defense to the rotation, and their seal, although it's not a stun, will come in great hand for keeping these units in check. And then we have the Zamasu. He's just going to act as a pairing partner for the LR that we have, and hopefully he's going to be able to reduce some of the damage that we take. He does have some damage reduction, and it increases depending on his health, his stats and everything. So we will just have to see. He also provides some minor healing off of his SA. The reason I've taken him is because he's not overpowered or anything. So my idea was that if we take him, then you guys can at least replace him with any viable options. Most other Goku Blacks or Zamasus or anything like that will be better partners than this one. But if we can do it with this one, then we can do it, in general. This Zamasu Black free-to-play card's obviously a very good card. We want him to get final blows, which he did not get there, which is a bit of a bummer, because obviously it would have really helped in increasing his stats, because for every final blow he gets, he increases his stats. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, other than that, we have the Trunks that we previously used in the Hybrid Saiyans category. He will be a little bit better here because he does face some androids for 2 of the fights, so his damage will be much better. But his attack lowering of defense is really what we're striving for. Yeah, and then the final piece that we have is obviously the Time Travelers support Mai, and the free-to-play Vegeta LR, the Strength free-to-play LR. He obviously is something that we have in the team. He's a very good free-to-play option, gives us a lot of stats. His defense is okay. His strength overall, his performance, he can do damage if you get his 18 key. Otherwise he stacks attack and defense on his 12 key, which can come in handy, because obviously that just allows us to increase his stat pool and help him defend a little bit better. So it is definitely one of those things that you can aim for with this Vegito. But other than that, that's really about it for the whole build of the team. If you're looking for options, you could obviously go for a more Android lined option, with Future Saga Android 17 and 18. You could go for the Cells, who are time travelers. You could go for the full Goku Black Zamasu, merged Zamasu kind of build. You can go for the full Trunks and Might kind of team with a bit of Vegeta. You could throw in Vegetos there. There's a lot you can do in terms of team building options for this team. So in reality, I don't think there's an incorrect way to make this team. So just choose the units that suit your box the best. But my general tidbits will be try and bring as much utility as you can, more so in the form of stuns and sealing than in the forms of attack lowering that. If you're going for seals and you have seals on both sides, on both lineups of the team, you can maybe go for more attack lowering. But overall, we'll just focus on bringing as many seals and as many stuns as possible, because that's really what's going to help you get through this fight. Like, there's not much more in terms of fight design that you can take on here. The moment you start stun locking the opposition, you're going to be having a much better time. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you go through and begin this stage. In terms of Cell's one enemy, but Cell hits very hard. So with Cell, the main thing that we want to do is we want to just make sure that we stun lock him and seal him. So you might want to switch your Zamasu, Gowasu, thank you, onto main rotation so that he can seal up the Cell as much as possible. But other than that, I think the rest of the stage is pretty easy. Once you start getting the stuns in, it can be pretty relaxed. I think personally, obviously you can get a bit unlucky. If you don't get those first couple stuns off, you can tend to spend quite a large amount of time on the stage, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world if that does happen. You may just have to restart if you don't get lucky enough. But once you start getting the stuns rolling in, you have the seal, especially in the second fight, you can control the fight quite well, so it doesn't become too much of a concern, and you just slowly whittle down the enemies as much as possible. But yeah, beyond that, everything looks pretty clean and pretty sorted. Obviously, just to highlight that the Mai unit, the traveling Mai, does share a lot of links with the friend LR that you're going to take. So if you do have Mai, I do suggest taking her, and I do suggest making her a linking partner with the LR. They share a lot of great links like Cold Judgment, Dismal Future, Prodigies, things like that, which just gives them a lot of defense and makes things a lot better. You can use like a Zamasu lead or a Trunks lead if you want, but this LR especially just has way more stunning ability than most other LRs. You could take a final trump card team and take maybe the Tech Vegito, but I think that's a bit more difficult a build to do. So I definitely suggest floating in this Trunks and Mai. They're gonna be very clearly your best option. And they really just suit the stage and how difficult the stage is. So I definitely suggest using them, playing them. They're your number one go-to option. And yeah, beyond that, that's as much as you need to know about team building for this stage. In terms of items, obviously they do hit hard. So before we get the stuns rolling, we're going to obviously need a Ghost Usher and all that. We're going to need an Icarus. You can, if you feel confident, bring a Ghost Usher and just skip a turn completely to set up your stuns, but that can be reliant on what you get in your first rotation, and it can also be a bit too reliant on the RNG of the stunning mechanism. If you have the Trunks and Mai LR, I do suggest bringing them as well as your lead. Like I said, even though you'll be running the team at a slightly lower lead, you will be able to generate having 2 stuns. If you have the Trunks and the Trunks Future Saga lead, and you have the Trunks and Mai LR, then obviously you place the Trunks as your lead and put the Trunks and Mai LR in your team, and just basically pair them up with another unit or with Trunks himself, and then you should be perfectly fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it for team building. As you can see, Cell has a lot of health, and he's taking quite a while. So it is one of those stages where just because of the team build in terms of utility and the fact that it's doing so much, strong utility and controlling the fight quite well. We don't unfortunately have the most damage on the team. We're heavily reliant on like the LR, we're heavily reliant on Zamasu, we're just heavily reliant on like quite few units to do all our damage. So it can be a little bit slow, but nothing that I would say is too bad, nothing that you should stress too much about. Just take it nice, slow and easy. Do it while you're busy doing some chores or something else. Just basically enjoy yourself. Don't worry about too much with what's going on in terms of like team build and everything. Like your damage and everything will come. Your team maintains so much control in these kind of fights that's not too much of a problem. And you really want to save some items for the last stage, because the last stage has an agility unit, and that's really going to cause a problem for your strength units, especially if you're following like this free-to-play guide. You're going to have at least 3 strength units with the the Zamasu, the Vegito, and the Trunks and My Friend lead. So you are going to need those items, because if they catch supers from that agility opponent in the final round, you're really going to struggle to get out of that situation. So but beyond that, I think everything should be pretty smooth. I don't foresee you having that many problems. But we're getting near the end of the cell fight here. Things have gone relatively smoothly. We're just kind of sizing things up here as best we can. Obviously, one problem that we got, and as everyone will know, we are still kind of struggling, just for the fact that we got our Dokkan attack in the second stage. So that is one of those things where, as everyone knows, I always suggest not wasting your Dokkan attack if possible on enemies that you're not going to finish off, or on non-multiple enemy fights. But this stage goes on so long that you actually have a chance of getting a second Dokkan attack. That is how long this stage can take with this kind of team build. So it's not too much of a problem for me. Like, I'm not getting too upset about anything. But at the same time, obviously it's just a testament to how little damage this team does. Trunks does do some decent damage, obviously floating in there and hitting an android, but beyond that, we definitely could use some DPS help. A tech Trunks will solve that a lot. The fact that he'll be stacking and transforming, and the fact that you'll be keeping the unit stun locked and just letting him get to work will really help. But obviously I try not to take tech Trunks. One, because mine is all level link 10, best gear, rainbowed, which obviously does distort some of my attempts. But 2, also he just would make this kind of a different video, and as you all know, we obviously refrain from using some of the LRs in our team builds if they're not the friend LR, and for the same reason I try to avoid taking my Trunks or any unit I know that I've done a lot of work on. It's not so much just because I don't want to show you guys. Obviously, it's good to have good units, it's nice to show them off, but I think for these videos you want them to be more instructional than just demonstrations of how powerful my box is. Because my box is getting close to the 1,000-day mark, which is obviously a big mark. And I've done a lot of content and found a lot of stones, and I've managed to pull quite a few DFEs and LRs and everything like that. So my box is very good. I love my box, I'm very proud of it. But for these videos, try to refrain from just kind of, putting the best units in there that I can. Because it doesn't really give the best impression or show the best way to work around anything, But beyond that, I think so far, everything has been going really smoothly. I think this team build's been working really well. Zamasu and Goku Black are a bit of a tough challenge. Obviously, the main reason being that they have the AGL. Well, they don't actually have the AGL unit here. So we're actually in more in luck. I was thinking of the super stage where it's Goku Rose who's AGL. So they don't have an AGL unit, which obviously does suit us better, but we do just need to be careful of taking a super attack on our physical Goasu and Zamasu, and obviously any in tech units would be in trouble, but luckily we don't have that many of those. So hopefully we can just start laying in the damage. Unfortunately for us, this Goku Black does lower attack and defense on his super attacks, and builds ki from taking super attacks, so yeah, it can really work out quite nicely, and everything seems to be going quite smoothly. You'll see we're popping Icarus now, so obviously I'm just using items. Like I say, don't be afraid to use items. Use your items early on, because you really want to try and take out units and give yourself the best fighting chance. So saving items at the beginning of a fight's not really worth it. Obviously if you're at the very beginning of the stage, maybe it is, but at these end fights, just use your items. You're gonna get stuns off, you're gonna get this off, you're gonna get crits, you're gonna get stuff that happens throughout the fight that you're not gonna be aware of. So rather use your items when you know you would die if you took a super attack, rather than not using them and trying to gamble things to the wind like evasion or anything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much the only advice I can give you. Obviously we've gotten some decent luck with the stuns, taking quite a bit of damage here on Mai. Even with her links activated and everything. Obviously that's just the lower stats. It's just kind of a side effect of we survive with such low health here. Obviously just a side effect of taking two low leads, the 100% lead and the 130% lead. Even with just taking double Trunks and Mai's, or maybe a Trunks and a Trunks and Mai, you'll just have better stats overall, so you won't be seeing numbers like this. You'll be seeing higher damage numbers, higher defense numbers, and yeah, you'll just be doing a lot better, and that's all perfectly fine as well. Very acceptable, very assistive. And then obviously Zamasu coming in and giving us a little bit of a heal, and then we have this one who's been getting some good crits going, which has really helped us chunk down this in Zamasu at a much faster rate than I originally anticipated, which is obviously going to help us out with our performance overall in the stage. But yeah, the ceiling's also obviously going to do a lot of work. We're making sure that we seal that strength Zamasu, because yeah, as you can see, a lot of damage. So if we had taken the super attack, we definitely would have died there. So yeah, we need to make sure that he's sealed, and we're going to use the Princess Snake here. So as you can see, obviously at this stage you would say, okay, things are not looking too great for us, but I'm not too worried, because I know we're going to get the stun. Once the Master goes out of the picture, I will only have one enemy to focus on, and it'll be a very similar situation to Cell, whereby we'll just keep him sealed and stunned until we remove him from the game. So yeah, overall not too worried at this current point in time. I think if we miss a stun here, or maybe miss a couple attacks and some criticals, I would start to be worried, but I'm not too concerned, because Zamasu will disappear, and then we should be perfectly fine. Yeah, so we get the stun there on the strength one, which is what I'm more concerned about, and then Trunks is going to also lower his attack, which is fine as well. And then the main goal is obviously to try and get rid of these Zamasu as much as possible, because he's the one that's been giving us problems. So we really want to try and make sure that we can get rid of him, because then that lets us focus on one unit, and that should just be your goal generally in the first and the last stage. Focusing on a unit and getting rid of them, so that you can have full control of the fight by fighting only one unit and switching in seals and stuns, and just in general just having a lot more control over the situation, because that's going to help you out way more than if you just try and take them both down at the same time. Splitting your damage is generally not advised in 2-unit fights. Sometimes even just hitting a unit with unit has a decent chance to crit is the better option, because you really want to try and get rid of that unit. Even if they have type disadvantage, if they have the chance to crit, you should probably aim it at one unit and really just kind of focus them down, especially if they're attacking equally and they have equal kind of stats. You definitely just want to focus on that and remove them. Alternatively, I could have focused on the Goku Black instead of the Zamasu Int, because of that tough disadvantage, obviously. But, you know, in hindsight, that's probably the best call, but you never know. And if you don't have Zamasu and Gohasu, then yeah, maybe focus on whoever is most applicable to you. So here we're relying a little bit on our evasion, because obviously we're in a very little bit of a dicey situation. But we'll come out through it perfectly fine. We get the stuns, which is very fortunate, and we managed to finish off the Zamasu, which is the big maneuver, because that's really going to help us out. And then hopefully mine will get the stun. There we go, and now we can work on the Goku Black, and we can take everything from there. And we'll even get the Dokkan attack. So we will get a bit of a heal up here, because obviously we are getting some of these orbs in. So we'll get a heal up, from Zamasu, we'll do some decent damage, and then yeah, we looking like we're in a better situation. Especially now that Zamasu is dead, we only have to focus on one unit, so it's not too much of an issue for us, which is obviously very, very good. And there's Zamasu. Nice solid attack, not a great attack stat obviously, but he gets the heal, and the Dokkan attack with you know, all the healing it gives should leave us in a desirable situation, and Trunks will give us the attack lowering as well. So now we are sitting in not an optimal situation, but I would say we're definitely sitting in a much better situation. Obviously our defense, we're just taking a look at it there. So here now we are really reliant on these stuns and the sealing and the dodging, just because obviously now we're at the point where we don't have items. But if we get through this turn, then everything should be smooth sailing, because we either will get the stun or we guarantee to get the seal, and then if we just evade the normal attack with Gowasu and Zamasu, we will be perfectly fine. We get the stun, so there we go, problem solved. So yeah, it was quite a tough fight obviously with this team. I think in terms of teams, obviously you can do way better. The future category is a very powerful category. It's got a lot of good LRs. It's got a lot of different variant team builds that you can do. It's got a lot of options in team building, so I don't think following this guide to the T is what you should do. I think just take the lessons that you've learned from this video and build your own team. Definitely with higher stat leads, hopefully, because that's going to help you a lot more than this here. But fortunately with Goku Black obviously stunned, we can use the Masu and heal up a little bit as well, get that double heal, which is really great. We can get that full attack with the other Goku Black, which will you know, allow us to do some damage. And then hopefully Maya gets the stun, and there we go, she got the stun, and that just allows us to kind of go into the next turn. Again, not worried about anything. What we'll do is we'll obviously keep Gowasu and Zamasu on rotation so they can get the seal to help us out with the start of next turn, because now we're constantly lowering attack. And yeah, right now this is looking like a very solid situation. And yeah, overall quite happy with what's going on at this point. I think we are performing very adequately. I think we are in a very solid space. And yeah, at this point I'm very happy with this team's performance. I think it was a little bit dicey there at that one point. But beyond that, you know, we've managed to hold it together. The team did pretty well. I definitely would switch out the Int Trunks. He's great against the androids in the first two stages. Maybe if you put orbs and link level him and maybe get him a linking partner, he'll be fine. But he could definitely drop out, and then yeah, definitely run a higher lead than this Goku Black and Zamasu. But even if you switched in a higher lead and just replace Trunks with that lead, your team will do much better. This exact team will just perform much better. You'll probably be left with 1 or 2 items, just because their defenses will be higher, their damage will be higher, so you'll just have a lot more control of the fight. But cool, thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. But until then, see you, and bye!